to the pipeline?
There's a small connector. The facility itself abuts the Transco pipeline, and there's a small connector.
Okay, so the Transco portion of this whole application is a permanent structure. That's what I'm getting at. Is that not true?
Correct. It's part of the 5-acre facility that we are permitting.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all I'm pointing out, that it's a permanent structure. Secondly, the last thing I want to point out is just that in your application tonight, not your application, but in your notice to the citizens tonight on this whole thing, and I realize there's not a lot you can do as zoning people, and that everybody in this room has to take it to their local representatives down in Harrisburg. I understand that, and you're limited. I understand that, and I'm not going to go beyond those bounds. But my point is this, is that in your notice to the public, all right, if you reread your notice to the public, was the building included in your notice to the public, that was going to be part of the hearing process tonight?
Are you asking, was the compressor building included?
I'm asking, was the compressor building, was that notice to the public? You have to review your application.
It's right
this
here
is
in
the public
paragraph
notice
3.
right here. Yes.
Okay. All right.
You're referring to this, Mr. Still?
Yep, I'm looking at that. Tell me that's what that is. And tell me where that's at. Okay, fine, thank you. So I have nothing more to add at this point, and I realize your limitations. There's nothing much you can do except that the citizens, I'm using this opportunity to again say the citizens, as you said, have to go to Harrisburg and have to really get in their representatives' ears. Already we have the candidate for governor, Tom Corbett, accepting $350,000 from
again,
pipeline
that's not
companies.
an issue for us. But
I know, but I use the opportunity to broadcast
well,
that.
that's what we don't want to happen.
You did say that drilling is legal in Pennsylvania, Mr. Solicitor? The fact of the matter is there's over 50,000 wells in the state of Pennsylvania. 50,000. Put your arms around that. This is not the first time somebody has attempted to drill a gas well in the state of Pennsylvania. We don't know how to drill wells here. I looked at the yellow pages. There was nothing under gas well drillers. So these people will have to come from out of the area. And as a matter of fact, as one of over 1,000 leaseholders, I've had the opportunity to talk to a great number, and to a person, they are extraordinarily impressed with Encana and what they have offered and what they say they can do. I just think it's extraordinary that we're acting as though this is a blight on society, and those of us who have chosen to do something that is totally legal in the state of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth more specifically, have taken the time to make this an issue of, is it right or is it wrong? I have been in this community for 57 years. The people I know, my family has been here for well into 8 generations. We want clean drinking water, but we're talking about something that clearly can be done. And as long as we are taking the right methods and precautions and using people who are highly skilled, I think it is our opportunity to pursue this. Welcome, nice to have you, thank you, looking forward to it.
Thank you.
I would just like to make one comment. You know, please, while people were up here, I didn't hear other people making comments while other people were up here talking, and I'd ask that you provide the same courtesy to everyone else who gets up here. No matter what you have to say, I'd ask that you provide the same courtesy by not making any comments in the public while someone is up here. If you wish to come up and make a comment, you can certainly do so if it's not repetitive and you haven't already spoke your piece. So again, I just ask that we try to keep some decorum. Thank you. I'm sorry, ma'am.
I would like to correct the gentleman who spoke just before me. Yes, there are 50,000 wells in Pennsylvania, but they're not all hydraulic fracturing. They're not all horizontal fracturing. That's the main thing. Okay, enough said. I'm asking this board to deny these exceptions for one very big reason. The industry anticipates optimally 168,000 wells in our area in the next 5 years. If you grant exceptions to this industry, to this company, you're going to set a precedent for future exceptions.
Ma'am, this exists as exception under the law. We're not granting this exception. This already exists under the ordinance. That you have to understand that. We're not granting anything that doesn't already exist as allowed. We're not granting something that's not allowed. This is already allowed under the ordinance.
It's already allowed, and
Yeah.
so if it's allowed, maybe you could disallow it.
And we already talked about that, and that's what I want to, we've gone through this already in terms of what our power and authority is. Our power and authority is to not change the ordinance. We can't do that. So, I mean, again, I want to make that clear so we don't keep going over this again.
But what you're saying is, you're just going to rubber stamp it.
I'm saying that this is allowed. I'm saying this is allowed use. I'm not saying it's going to be rubber stamped. We take testimony, we listen, we try to make, or I say this board tries to make decisions based upon the concerns of the public. But remember, a lot of the concerns that you have cannot even be addressed by us, even if we wanted to. So no, I mean, this is a granted use. It's like you coming to put a home on on a property that you can put a home on. I can't put any conditions on that, but if it's a special exception, I can make you put conditions on that now.
So what are the conditions that you're going to
Well,
make?
again,
I think that's what the board
that's what the board
needs
has
to
to
review.
decide, and that's going to be based upon the testimony that's provided here tonight. So people have talked about the concern about, and the lady isn't here now, concern about school buses and the concern about traffic, and those will be some of the concerns that will be addressed by this board.
Well, then I recommend that this board keep in mind you are about to face 5 years of $168,000.
And I recommend that you go to your legislator and talk to them about it.
Done that.
Well, but that's where it has to go, not here.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
May I respectfully speak to the topic of whether or not you're at liberty to make these decisions, because I do respectfully disagree, at least to a minor extent, which I think is significant to this audience.
Go ahead. And then, wait, before we do that, Ms. Linster, did
Yeah, I
you want
would
to
just like-
respond to something that was just said? Or?
No, I actually forgot that I would like to submit a copy of this presentation for the record.
That's fine. Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to make sure you got to see it.
Thank you. For the record, I restate my name is Leslie Avakian, A-V as in Victor, A-K-I-A-N. And I understand that this issue of jurisdiction is really tricky and slippery and changing all the time, because I have looked at some of the court cases that have come through, and Huntley and Ickmont and all the rest. But and I understand that it's not entirely 100% clear. Also based on...
And it continues to be litigated.
And it continues to be litigated. But I would put forth that there are really two forms of health, safety, and welfare. The form of health, safety, and welfare that is governed by the Oil and Gas Act being, kind of like the construction and the mechanics of the operation, and the health, safety, and welfare implications of those activities of constructing, building, and developing a well and exploring for gas. And I don't contend that this board has jurisdiction over those matters, casings and all of the like. But in a like manner, there is a form of health, safety, and welfare that I do believe is the jurisdiction of this board. It has always been within the jurisdiction of this board, as stated even by this little memo that came along somehow with your ordinance, indicating that, as you know, there is no automatic right to a special exception. The applicant, when applying, must show the proposed use meets the definition of the use type for that zone. And in some of these cases, in some ways, the use type is appropriately, has been appropriately mirrored up with the ordinance. I don't believe personally that it has for the gas wells. I was stating that for the next presentation. And clearly I don't believe it's the case for the compressor. However, and the associated facility, gas processing facility. However, if they do meet the special exception, it must be granted unless an objection can show that the approval is detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare. And I think that's what many people have come here to try and express, is in which ways this is detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare, which is entirely different than the health, safety, and welfare aspects that are covered by the Oil and Gas Act.